Welcome back, everyone, to day 2 of the 2016 Smite World Championships presented by Xbox One. 2 teams have been eliminated and 8 teams remain. We have 4 best of 3s today, the first of which is Paradigm versus OMG. Are you guys ready? Then let's go to the analysts for game 1 of Paradigm versus OMG.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Alienware Analyst Desk. Of course, I'm Golden Boy, joined by some rather impressive individuals when it comes to breaking down Smite, the one and only Adonis, Anatoly, and QE3Q. Guys, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Golden Boy. We had a lot of Smite action yesterday. Unfortunately, the 2 international teams that I was most excited to see and maybe find some upsets were eliminated, but you know, we still have some pretty good competition in China and Brazil.
Yeah, you know, I have to say it is great for Chinese Smite when you have 2 teams that make it past those prelims and into the top 8. So good on them, without a doubt. Unfortunately for them, they do have, I would say, a tall order in front of them, as they actually have to face off against 2 of the best teams in Smite right now. Now, let's actually talk about yesterday, because we had some pretty good matches, I would say, and some shockers as well. First and foremost, I want to talk about Epsilon Esports versus Pain Gaming. Now, of course, Epsilon ended up coming out on top on that one, but what I do want to ask is, Pain Gaming looked really good in that game, right? In my personal opinion, and in fact, kind of set the tone for the rest of this competition.
And you know, we came into this tournament expecting Epsilon to dominate these first couple rounds, and we did see that against Isurus. And Isurus played very scared, and you know, they couldn't put up a single kill, and Epsilon just rolled through that. But coming up against Pain, they took a little bit slower, and Pain did a fantastic job. They actually snuck an early Gold Fury away from Epsilon, and were able to keep the game pretty even. And I think they had a chance to win, although their teamwork and synergy and unwillingness to, I'd say, force the engagement probably lost them that, but they definitely put up a good fight.
Yeah, I'd say that their early to mid game was really good. They played defensively really well. They didn't give up too much, and like you said, they did the Gold Fury. And on top of that, their late game was kind of shaky when Epsilon was forcing the issue. They just didn't know how to really adapt to the pressure that was put on them.
Then it was actually ahead in gold for most part of the game, but then actually it's impressive because everybody that plays against Epsilon is usually in lower in gold at that stage of the game. But that the late game comes to this stage that Epsilon is just great in team fights and they're really experienced. Yeah,
I mean, without a doubt, Epsilon, they're looking to be one of the dominant forces in this competition. But I think for Pain, what this means for them is, hey, we had a tough round against them. And how do you feel about their chances against Enemy, though? I mean, Enemy kind of shocked everyone. We'll get into that matchup in a little bit. But Enemy kind of shocked everyone with that, that victory
over Fnatic.
Fnatic. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts in regards to Enemy versus Pain, because we'll, of course, break that down later today. But I guess preliminary thoughts for you guys. Adonis, we'll start with you, or Anatoly, if you want to take it.
So yesterday was the best of 1, so anything kind of went. Enemy had the better draft than Fnatic did. They had a better late game team composition. Maniac didn't really build accordingly, and he was getting blown up by Vicium there at the end of the game. So today is going to be a best of 3. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see which team kind of prepared better, if it's Pain or Enemy against the other.
I'm really interested in this game because both teams have the same play style. They don't usually make the plays. They counter-engage really well, but I'm really interested to see how this game is going to work.
I think that might change depending on Pain Deviant, actually. His Khepri is very defensive, and I think his second best god, but his best god, in my opinion, is Athena. And if he gets Athena, that's when Enemy will actually try and take the fight 2 players and 2 teams, because Pain just wants to fight. He's always looking for the engagement. So if we see Pain Deviant actually pick up Athena, we could see a little more aggression coming out from him.
And that's good to have those, strategies, those defensive strategies with the Khepri and those aggressive strategies with Athena. You don't want to be like a one-sided book where you just like everybody reads all your strategies. So.
Well, speaking of Pain Deviant and the rest of the Enemy team, let's actually go ahead and talk about that Enemy Fnatic matchup. Anatoly, you said that they came out stronger in the picks and bans. They were holding their own, certainly against one of Europe's finest. I guess, can Enemy go all the way, is the question.
I think they've set themselves up to be a true contender, and You know, I was talking to the other players. I was talking to, you know, Paradigm actually yesterday, and they thought that this could happen. They've actually prepared strategies for Enemy and Fnatic. They figured both of them could have made it through, and what they say is that Enemy is possibly the most intelligent team in Smite right now, maybe even more intelligent than
And why do you think that is?
It's just like they play their compositions so well because, you know, the matchup against Fnatic was a clear early game in Fnatic versus the late game team comp of Enemy, and then once it kind of hit the point where 30 minutes and Fnatic didn't have a big enough lead, they couldn't contend with the team composition.
Yeah.
And Enemy just, they know how to play those positions so well. And I want to bring it back to a specific point that we also mentioned in the cast the other day is 25 minutes. Enemy, they were still behind, but they started feeling themselves, got a couple kills, but then they started to go through, immediately dropped it because they recognized it's not the time yet. It's not for them to make the aggressive play at that moment.
Yeah, and Pain baited so many ultimates on top of himself, and then they re-engaged on top of Fnatic. They got 4-0. Soul Machine dove the tier 2 tower. The Kepri ult saved them back, and they just got so much of a lead off that tower and the goal fear.
Yeah, I mean, they were looking fantastic in that matchup. They ended up taking that. And there's our crowd, looking amazing as always. Everyone's filled the house up for this OMG Paradigm matchup. Can't wait to see this one. But we have one more game to talk about, and this one was a bit of a heartbreaker, I think, was Avant-Garde versus QG. Now, the reason why this was a heartbreaker is because a lot of people had high hopes for Australia coming into this competition, and of course, Avant-Garde had high hopes for themselves as well. Had an opportunity when the show was over, actually, to speak with Biggie, and it was kind of nice to catch up with him. We riffed about the Surfer Bro thing, which was cool. But, you know, I could tell that he was not down, but he was like, you know, I understand why we lost, because yes, they were the most dominant team in their region, but they just, you know, they couldn't adapt. And his quote was, I know that we're good, but I know that we couldn't adapt in time. That's basically what he said in a nutshell. So QE, I guess we'll go over to you for this one. How do you feel about, you know, Avant-Garde and moving forward as well? What do you think that team needs to do for the next year as they prep, you know, for inevitably the next Smite World Championship?
I think it comes down to the experience. The Smite is really new on the Oceania part. Some players used to play on NA EU servers, but still, they need like more teams to play the game and get more experienced, but I think next year they will do really well.
And that's something too, is that the two teams we saw eliminated on day one, Isris and Avant-Garde, had the same story. Undefeated in their region, basically, since June. No one's been able to pressure them. No one's been able to challenge them. And if you don't have anyone to bounce off of, it's hard to...
How do you get better?
It's hard to raise the bar when you're the top. So, and I think that's what we saw there.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough without a doubt, but you know, really looking forward to seeing what they could do moving forward. Now, fun fact is, for those of you guys at home who are keeping track of the Smite World Championships, Reddit is an amazing resource, I just want to say.
Fantastic.
And I've actually been going through a lot of the threads, and one of the threads that I think is fantastic is the Smite World Championships 2016 Day 1 Collected Data and Analysis thread that was actually done by, I forgot my old account, so great name for him. But the reason why is because there's some interesting things to take away from this thread, right? For example, Sol, Kefri, Xing, Bellona did not miss a single game, right, throughout this, all day one of the competition. And of course, a lot of it did attest to the fact that a lot of the matches were one-sided, so, you know, keep in mind that that is not something to kind of base all of the statistics on. But, you know, anything in particular here that you're seeing based on this data that has kind of caught your interest?
Those four gods being picked and banned every game, no surprise to me. My thing, though, is the lack of hell we've been seeing. I'm assuming it's because teams have developed some strategies around it, or maybe they just want to save the hell pick.
Yeah, normally you would see the Chinese teams, OMG B or QG Reapers, picking out the help, but they just haven't been doing it. What's also really surprising was the fact that Sol was picked 3 times out of the 8 games, but they lost every single game.
Again, there's just a lot of interesting nuances. Like, one of my favorites, actually, from yesterday was how effective Hunbats was, right?
Oh,
I mean, I
games.
think, you know, pick 5 times, banned once, winning 4 games, right? What does that tell you? Hunbats is good. Right? Coming out of the jungle, amazing, right? If you lose Thor in the picks and bans, why not go with Hunbats?
And Thor didn't, you know, have the best of showings yesterday either. He lost every game, but I believe one but he was typically picked up on the underdog teams. I mean, Thor is still so strong.
Thor is really strong. Like all stage of the game, Thor is just really dominating.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with Thor. Defensively, offensively, his kit's like built perfectly for that.
I mean, the Smite World Championship, you know, trophy is literally Mjolnir, so.
Literally.
He can't be bad.
Maybe next year it'll be Bellona's
maybe.
hammer. That'd be awesome.
Oh, man.
Bellona. All right, so folks, our next matchup will be Paradigm versus OMG B. Really excited to see Paradigm here. Of course, we had Zimstar in the booth last year. You know, he was a great individual to have. His analysis was fantastic. We actually saw him in the red carpet show, so I know he's watching this with a very keen eye. I can imagine that they're confident, right? But we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's actually intro you guys to Paradigm.
Paradigm. Xaliea. Qvofred. Lawbster. Trixtank. Funballer.
And there you have Paradigm as these guys get ready for their opponent, OMG. Talking about Paradigm real quick, Anatoly, kick it to you. Who is going to be the player that you're most excited to see since we have not seen them yet?
Definitely Xaliea. He has a lot of bags in his trick coming out of the soul lane. He'll whoop out anything. You know, he'll pull out Isis soul lane when you think it's not going to work. He'll just make it work.
Yeah, I agree. Xaliea has just an immense god pool. He can play anything. You just can't really ban him out or like expect him to pick anything because he can play anything.
And he doesn't even play meta picks, right? There's Bellona and Xing, and he's running Isis and Chuck. Like, it's not something you see in a lot of other soul laners. Just always struggle to deal with it. And something I want to talk about too that we don't really talk about too often is his farm and how efficient he is. He's always at the top of the soul lane charts. He always knows how to get farm. He always knows how to build those items and come into team fights and make big impacts.
He's just so dominant, like in lane phase, and in team fights, he's just a monster. He plays team fights really well.
One of the players I want to talk about is Trixtank, because Trixtank, a great support player for this team, very aggressive. You know, I mean, in this matchup, where do you think, and look at that, just to the camera, it's almost as if he knows. I don't know, what do you think about Trixtank here going into this OMG matchup?
I think Trixtank is the most aggressive support probably in the world, playing at a very high competitive level. Trixtank will pull anything, just like Xaliea, he's willing to run anything. He is the old school warrior support. He's the one who's still playing Wukong, still playing Guans. We haven't seen his Hercules in a while, but maybe he could pull that out for this tournament. We'll have to see. And I think Anatoly has personal experience with Trixtank's warrior support back in the launch tournament.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. He actually also ran Thor support, not in the launch tournament, but in the SPL a couple of times, from what I remember. And yeah, he's not afraid to run aggressive supports like Bacchus as well.
It just seems like this team has a very deep god pool. Like, they just know, like, they have any kind of tool.
North America always kind of develops a meta, and like every player plays like 2 to 3 gods. And it's like they'll cycle them in and out, and depending, and you see a lot of the same compositions. Europe is a little bit more open, and then Paradigm is crazy open. They're running stuff that other players are calling bad and making it work, like Chucks.
It's pretty hard to pick and ban against them because they have so many versatile gods. They can switch like Soul to the ADC to the mid, Neef as well. They can play Bacchus on the solo lane as well. Like,
yes.
How do you do that?
But yeah, how do you like Bacchus gets picked up and you're like, it's going to Trix, and then Xaliea pulls it out and you're just like, I have no idea what's happening.
What's going on? What do I do with my hands? You know, like. All right, folks. Well, on the other side of Paradigm, they pulled it off yesterday. Of course, it was a tough game that they had, a tough road that they had, but here is OMG B.
OMG. Bleed black. BlueWhale. Bluefish. Xantorsk. Bluo.
All All right, there's OMG B. This squad, of course, having a difficult road, but they did defeat Isurus to get to this point, to be the first Chinese team to get into the top 8. Yesterday, though, I would say, you know, we saw some interesting things out of them. Aggression was the name of the game for this squad, as it is with, you know, QG as well. They're just very aggressive players. You know, this is, I don't think anyone should sugarcoat it, right? This is going to be a very difficult match for OMG.
It's going to be a rough one. You know, Paradigm, we've been talking about Epsilon a lot, but Paradigm still are the first seeds in Europe. They came out, they beat Epsilon, the 27-1 Epsilon, who had dropped a single game in the fall split. It's going to be a tough hill to climb for them.
Yeah, OMG B, they were successful yesterday with their aggressive support and soul laner with the Bellona and the Xing. So if Paradigm did their homework, they probably should not allow them to get those 2 gods.
And they actually ran a double assassin comp in their first matchup against Pain. It wasn't successful, but you know, OMG, they could bring out a couple different styles that could throw Paradigm off kilter.
Maybe it's a best of 3, so it's kind of harder to go for the cheese picks. But I think if they prepared well against Paradigm, they can take a game or 2.
And that's another thing to note as well, folks. Today is going to be all best of 3s. So we have a lot of Smite to play. And, you know, yesterday, I guess the idea was, you know, just play what you know. It's a best of 1. You know, this is it. So you have to throw basically everything that you have on the table and make that work. Now it's a best of 3, so changes a little bit, right? How do you feel this first game should go? In my personal opinion, if OMG wants a chance in this, I mean, you know, they have to beat Paradigm, or at least contend with Paradigm in game 1, like without a doubt, because at that point they need to get that confidence to say, okay, that was a tough one. We didn't hang with them. You know, their comp was better than ours, but we hung with them. So let's go ahead and make this happen in game 2.
Yeah, for OMG, in my opinion, the only way they're going to come out and beat Paradigm is abusing the over-aggression coming out of Paradigm's dual lane. Excuse me. Funballer and Trixtank, they love to fight. They love to just take players on. Funballer specifically will always force 1v1s. We actually took note of it at the Super Regionals, always fighting hi-rez, who he felt he was better than, and he actually died a couple times, and Paradigm also lost a couple games, got a little worrisome. So OMG, I think they need to try and bait out that dual lane and try and get a lead there.
Yeah, that's a possibility, but I just don't see it working out for them. I think Paradigm is going to get an easy 2-0 clean stomp. They're just too good, too experienced. They have more team chemistry. They should be pretty fast games, honestly.
All right, well, we'll get to the predictions in a few. We'll get to that in a few, because, you know, I am 3 for 3.
You are.
FYI.
It's true.
All right, folks, well, let's go ahead and toss it over to Sean at the stage. Sean, what's going on?
Thank you so much, Alex. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are you ready for your first best of 3 of day 2? Lawbster, BlueWhale, I can't hear you guys. Come on, are you ready for the first best of 3 for day 2 of the Smite World Championship? I have to ask, Lawbster, are you ready?
Yes, boy.
BlueWhale, are you ready?
Ready.
These guys are ready. Come on. Are you guys? This is it. It's happening right now. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Paradigm and OMG. Come on. Gentlemen, return to your teams. Please go ahead and get ready. It's about to go down. Ask you one more time. Come on, guys. Smite World Championship. Can I hear some noise? You guys are fantastic, and I'm sure these teams are going to play fantastic. Let's find out what their choices are in picks and bans.
All right, here we go, folks. First match of the day, Paradigm, OMG picks and ban phase has begun. And this is going to be a really telling story here for us going into not only game 1, but just for the rest of the series. Where is Paradigm thinking? Do you know, and to be completely honest, do you think that they go with the, you know, kind of like, hey, I'm going to pick some things that I'm not particularly great with, but because I know I'm going to...
I think they're going to try and run some high pressure. I think this is going to be similar to Fnatic's team comp that they ran against Enemy yesterday, where they're going to look for a very strong push in the mid and duo. Neath Soul, I expect to be pretty highly sought after for Paradigm. Obviously, Soul going to be banned away by OMG. They don't want to deal with that.
And Circuit goes as well. Anatoly?
Yeah, so Funballer really leans a little bit on the Soul during the Super Regionals with Lawbster can play like Hunter in the middle there. And actually, they banned Neath away. So probably not going to be seeing that in mid lane. So the next ban going to be for OMG B here.
What do you think they go with now, right? What are they looking? Is it a target or a meta ban? Like maybe they ban out.
They might want to just take out the Bellona. No, it's going to be Giannis. Giannis is always something scary, so nothing too crazy.
I mean, Xing10's
banned
open.
out. Bellona's open as well, and I think that. Oh no, Paradigm. They're not even going to worry about it. They're going to highlight that up.
Yeah, I think Tian is so strong right now. It's really strong.
And you know, Xaliea, it could go to him, but I mean, Xing10 also can be very aggressive. We saw it successful in the dual lane the other day. I think that was OMG that ran that, correct?
I believe it was.
And there's the Bellona.
Yeah, so
every game.
Bellona and Xing10 open. Paradigm getting the better end of that stick, in my opinion. They also are leaning towards the Isis. It's a very good defensive god in the mid lane. We saw them run it against Isurus, which was very successful against the Mercury jungle that Isurus ran. Every time he would go in, you would just run into the circle of protection. There was nothing the Mercury could do.
So I want to talk about this Bellona Isis, especially when Xing10's always picked in the soul lane. Xing10 Bellona is like the matchup we're going to see basically all tournament until these gods start getting banned out more. But Isis dominates lane early. Bellona dominates Xing10 early. However, they both have these massive defensive ults as well, so you can counter engage. I think Isis Bellona is a combo that we could see often because it's so versatile and how the game plays out.
And there's the Chiron.
There's the Chiron QE.
I'm so happy.
And Thor. Thor is going to be selected as well, so we know where that's going.
So
and,
this is a pretty solid draft so far from Paradigm. There's nothing really too off the hay wall. Like if you were thinking of Paradigm, you would think of some pretty janky picks. Raw gets highlighted by OMG B, which is really interesting. Circuit was banned away from Paradigm, so they can't lean towards that. And if they wanted to secure the Raw pick, they could go for an Odin ban after this. They do switch the Raw, though, to Freya, looks like.
And that Freya likely could go Hunter. That also takes it away from Funball. He also really likes mages, Soul, Kronos, and Freya.
Because they could definitely play Chiron mid, which would be really interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if Paradigm would. I think if Paradigm runs Chiron mid, I don't think they would play it against OMG. I think that's something they might want to save.
I see.
You never know, though.
I mean, that could also be a scare tactic for their future opponent. If they're feeling confident against OMGB, they'll run Chiron mid like, hey, guys, look at us. We're running Chiron mid. Start banning it against us, or just get ready for it.
Zhang taken away. No surprise there. Mid for Paradigm still open. Zeus still hasn't been picked up. Actually was played every single game but one yesterday.
Lawbster does like Zeus, so we could actually see that and have Chiron just go in the dual lane.
And they also have Thor on the team, which is, once again, we talked about earlier. That's versatile, too. That could go to Trix to support, or it could go to Qvo in the jungle. And Thor, very good at protecting Zeus, so.
Sobek being highlighted here for OMGB.
Thoughts on this?
Could be good in the soul lane if you could have the Bellona in the jungle. We'll see where OMG does place that Bellona if Sobek does get locked in. It leaves a lot of Guardians on the table there for like the late game team fights. Bacchus being highlighted and locked in.
All right. So crowd really likes that one.
Yeah, that was definitely taken away from Trixtank. They don't want him, like, they definitely did their homework. They know that Trixtank loves Bacchus, so they take that away. And Guan Yu, as a result, is going to be highlighted.
You know, OMG has done a lot of homework. Like, just, they did this against Isurus as well. They actually banned away the Thor Giannis, which was Isurus's best gods. OMG, they've been doing their homework. They know what these teams are running. They know what they like to pick. We haven't seen Nuwa in a while, but it looks like Lawbster could be running it.
No, it's a classical pick from Lawbster. He really likes the global presence to help the other lanes.
So if you look at Paradigm's comp here, they have three very aggressive front lines between Xing10, Thor, and Guan Yu, and a very passive, safe mid laner, Nuwa, that can just get off her damage.
Wow.
Send the golems and just destroy.
Awilix is locked in. All right. Predictions.
Paradigm.
Paradigm 2-0.
Paradigm 2-0.
All right, I only call. I'm not going to make a call. Okay, we're going to go ahead, toss it over to the casters. Casters, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Golden Boy. We're getting into the matches right away. OMG B versus Paradigm. And we heard the analysts talk a little bit about how much of the homework China has really done. And really, that's what I noticed the most during these picks and ban phase.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they took away Bacchus. They took Freya as well, which we've seen over in Europe as well. On top of that, I like China's comp more than anything else. I'm going to go China here.
Yeah, definitely. China definitely has an EU-esque comp with the Freya and Bacchus and the Isis mid.
And don't forget, one of the things that I liked the most about it was the composition by itself. The Bacchus into the Awilix, there's a lot of synergy there. But don't forget, there's also, that's taking it away from Paradigm. Yeah, we like the Bacchus. We talked about that. We did not mention how much Qvo likes that Awilix and how powerful that was, how good that was for him during the regular season.
Yeah, it was almost like China wanted to take away the EU picks instead of picking their own style.
Exactly. Well, maybe they can play that style as well. You know, they've done the homework. They will be researching other regions. It looks like they've planned well for Paradigm here. And it's one of the first times we may actually see Paradigm have a bit of a tough opposition here.
And not for nothing, one of the things that we've noted about the Chinese teams throughout this week or just yesterday and even through the regular season is how reluctant they were to go for those objectives. Well, Bacchus is very good at stealing those objectives away should Paradigm decide to go for a risky one and does a very good job, Isis, at confirming their own. So they do have a good objective secure control here in this composition.
Yeah, I expect a lot of action to happen in this mid lane. BlueWhale on the Awilix with Bacchus and Isis combination is a lot of damage and can pretty much one-shot the Nuwa and Lawbster easily.
Now these comps, when I look at them on paper, I would side with China 100% unless, if they're on the same playing field as Paradigm. Like if they've got the experience of Paradigm do, I really feel OMG's comp here is the stronger of the two at all stages of the game, realistically. Mid lane's going to push a little bit harder to begin with the Isis, and with the Awilix in the jungle, the rotations are going to be a little bit quicker too.
Exactly what you said, Hindu. They have the early game strength in Isis, Awilix, Bacchus, and then they have the late game threat of the Freya and the duel.
And it's just a beautiful composition. I mean, on the across the way, it's going to be very hard for them to kill Paradigm though. Global presence, Nuwa obviously able to take herself up with the fire shards out of combat. Thor can do the same. Xaliea is never going to die because it's a Xing 10, and we saw that yesterday. And then Funballer, he's one of the safest hunters in the game.
That's immediately what I want to talk about. I'm excited to see how Funballer does on this horseman. Chiron has been very successful throughout the weekend. Right away, OMG getting a little aggressive, so maybe a little different here from the Chinese team.
I like this, but what Xaliea and Qvo did there was just watch. You were like, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to try and fight us? I don't think you really want to take this. Meanwhile, though, Trix across the way. He's going to go for the steal and actually get it and walk into lane.
Thanks to the hand of the gods.
He may die, though. Oh, Funballer is helping him a little bit. Luckily, that's going to help him out with
There's the passive heal on Chiron.
Are still doing work, and the belly flop comes out, but Trix hits level 2, and now Bacchus is in a little bit of trouble, but the poke damage from Pulse.
Love the calculated aggression coming out of Paradigm. You want to talk about aggression? Funballer driving into 2, right into the wave.
Double pony lane is what we're going to be seeing today, so expect to see them just cavalry charge all the time.
I love what both teams did there. They invaded the weak side of the enemy team. Freya's really weak early, so they decided to invade her, not let her have an easy laning phase. Xing 10 is also very weak, and OMG invaded him.
Again, we can't gloss over it. I mentioned it briefly. The Hog. Trix has a hog, which means that purple was as good as his, no problem. I need to see how this evolves, though. Hand of the Gods is great for that first shot. We saw that during the regular season from Shadowq, actually.
We did, but Guan Yu as well. He's very, very good with a hog 3. He's got one of the best ways of getting into a fight. It's very hard to shut him down. They don't have any walls to stop him, but mid-lane aggression, Lawbster could go down. First blood to China!
Beautiful combination. The Spirit Ball, the incoming flank from the right-hand side. OMG got the stun and one down he goes. 1 kill on the side of OMG.
Yeah, this is the strength of OMG's early game comp. They're really making it work for them right now.
Really good rotations from the team as well, but this is what we said about the early game. Their strength is there, and they're using it well. Dual lane tried to go aggressive. Solo lane, Xaliea in a bit of trouble, but he should be fine still. But now Lawbster, he won't die again, I don't think. Not too so quickly.
Well, see, that's the thing. People generally talk about Nuwa being, would you consider Nuwa a safe god?
It's a very safe god, yeah.
And she's safe because of the ult.
Yeah.
Well, they yanked her at level 2. There's no ult yet.
Exactly. But that also tells me that Paradigm don't want to focus too much on the mid lane. They want to use her global ultimate to pressure either the Freya or the Bellona.
Well, we said this about China and OMG in specific. Bluefish in the mid lane. He is the big go-to star of this team. They look to feed him and get him stronger, and him getting an early kill will really snowball the team, hopefully.
If you're a Paradigm fan at home, though, there is, that first blood isn't the end of the day. Lawbster actually, during the regular season, we watched him kind of die a lot. Paradigm does a good job of dealing with Lawbster or kind of using him as a sacrificial lamb to come around on the other lanes.
Yeah, Lawbster is a very tenured player. He's been around since closed betas. He's been behind many times before, and he knows how to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's also playing Nuwa, so we can just sit back and continue to farm. Isis will pressure early on, but then it should be fine after that, and just be able to just sit back with, as you can see there, use the fog, use the Shining Metal Bomb. Right-hand side, aggression coming out. The combo of China is going to bring down Xaliea as well. What is this?
3 minutes, 2 kills, and they're both on the Chinese side.
I said their comp looked great, and I was like, listen, I'm going with China. The analysts, they went Paradigm, but on paper, it looks like OMG should be the better team.
I'm so impressed with BlueWhale. He's hitting every single knockup that, you know, you have to hit him from behind to actually knock them up, and it's really impressive.
Going to be a rough game for Paradigm so far. Qvofred, though, he's got to get himself involved now. He's getting out-rotated by Awilix just because of the fact that she's got that mobility with Suku, but now he's got his ultimate available. Keep an eye to see if he goes on. I expect to see Paradigm's duo lane actually do exactly this and try and carry this team forward now because they're getting pressured elsewhere.
I like to see Luo on this Freya. Beautiful lift to interrupt the Guan Yu Tallow Assault going on. And Funball playing very aggressive right up in front. And that's the reason he's playing aggressive. Chiron has that dash that gets him out of trouble.
Mid lane, though, Trix is just rotating. Cavalry charge onto the Isis, looking for the stun. Will connect, but Qvo at the same time. Bluefish is still alive, but not long enough. Trixtank gets the first kill for Europe on day 2.
Paradigm finally answers back with a fantastic 3-person combo onto that mid laner. And with that, they're going to go ahead and pick up the mid Harpies as well. And right now, Paradigm started off to a slow start, so OMG was leading. But with that kill, cuts the lead to about 1,000.
Yeah, great rotation by Trixtank there. A lot of times you don't expect that early rotation from the support, and as Guan Yu, he hit every single hit of cavalry charge.
I think that's a big key here for Paradigm as well, because I want to see aggression from the duo lane, but ganking a Freya is not the easiest thing in the world. She's got multiple ways of escaping. They would have dealt with Reels over in EU a lot from Fnatic, who plays a lot, so they know his strategies and how difficult it is to find that Freya. Going for the mid lane Isis, a little bit more easy. You've got the Thor dunks as well as the cavalry charge. You just stick to the Isis. Silence isn't going to stop it. Neither's the Spirit Ball. You can set up for the kills.
Even with those kills, Isis still on top of your XP per minute. Just very efficient. A lot of efficiency is what I'm seeing coming out of the Chinese.
How do you feel about a rush of the build, though? She's going straight into Book of Toth. No mobility in boots here. She's just going to rely on the Wingos. Is this a bit risky?
It is a bit risky, but I'm sure Bluefish really feels like he needs to carry this game, especially after he got that first blood. He wants to look to snowball his lead. Let's see if it pans out.
It is something we see out of the Chinese meta where the carries of the team will rush these stacking items early and forego the mobility. But I think this could cost him against someone like Guan Yu and Thor on the enemy team. I think Bluefish may have made a mistake here.
You know, it might, but here's the method of thinking I'm thinking around. Bluefish is going to be the guy to carry the early game, right? And then he hands off the mid game to Bellona for the most part. And then at the end of the day, you've got this late game Awilix that can murder people, and don't forget about Freya. So it's more about the handoff.
Yeah, exactly. The one problem with Bluefish's build, though, is that Paradigm's team is made to dive him in the backline. They have Cavalry Charge with Guan Yu. They have Thor dunk, exactly how they got the kill on him in the first place. And he really needs probably to itemize more defensively so he can survive.
Well, I mean, he's got the beads, but that's about it so far. I do like the idea, though, that what we're going to see is the Bellona probably engage with Eagles rallies for the most part, try and burn the beads. Then you'll see the Bacchus probably initiate with the belly flops, and then you'll see Awilix be able to ult because the beads are down from the Eagles rally. The composition just plays so well together.
Ping's coming out on the left-hand side. You take a look at Paradigm, take a look at the Gold Fury, but there's vision from OMG on it. So Isis and Freya go ahead and respond. It's already down to 25% HP, and OMG's going to try and pick it up. Paradigm does secure it, but it was a little scary. Bluefish is going to take a spill. Funball gets credit for that one. Lawbster goes for the assist.
Good engagement. Look at this. The junglers come over. Awilix will find Lawbster again. A return kill. They're chasing down for more. Eagles rally. The burst on Qvo, but he will get away.
Qvo, sliver of HP. OMG going to be careful not to go ahead and get too aggressive.
And this is the strategy that Paradigm likes to run. They actually run it before, and actually we've scrimmed them one time, and they ran the same strategy. Trixtank gets the hog, goes for the early invade, puts a ton of pressure in the duo lane, and then goes for the early Gold Fury.
Just to be clear, that was a hog one that Trixtank had there to secure the Gold Fury. The ultimate coming out from Isis, I thought was probably going to take that one away. We're not going to find it, but Funballer, he's looking for the extra pressure there on Freya. Not going to find it. You can see the split push cam. Xaliea did not manage to rotate to that fight. Did get some tower poke down, but at the end of the day, it's a Guardian. Not going to do that much.
Yeah, Freya here in this situation, you want to stay in lane. You don't want to get zoned out, but right now, he needs to cut his losses back, take the loss of the creep so he doesn't get zoned out anymore.
What's the hardest? Is that one of the hardest decisions in the Hunter role, right? When to back and when to give up. And the moment he leaves, you're probably going to see Funballer push,
He's going to push, yeah.
And that's exactly what he's doing right now, just pushing it down Freya. Return to the jungle. She didn't go back to base. She's going to do back.
That's actually a smart move by Freya. So now she'll come back and probably get most of the wave, at least in experience.
And she gets to sustain a little bit of those back harpies. You don't get poked out as much of the wave, especially when there's no Chiron there. So she will get a wave, doing good work of staying in the lane. You can see that the supports have now started to join up with the mid laners and the junglers.
Yeah, we see our normal 3-on-3 dance here, at least from the OMG side. The core of the teams, as it's usually referred to as the mid laner, the jungle, and the support. They convene just to share a wave or two, and then everybody goes their separate ways.
I think the big thing here is OMG need to continue to capitalize on what they've been doing so far. They've got the aggression, they've got the fans behind them too. You can hear how excited they are. They need to feed off that before Paradigm get their composition online.
Yeah, I love how OMG is taking the fight away from the Freya. They just want the Freya to be okay.
Oh, we're going to have a big fight. Pulled in his Trixtank. He does juke out and use the cavalry charge too. Qvo with this guy though. Will he find the kill? He should.
Qvo picks up one. Taken to the sky is Lawbster, trying to help out Xaliea as he chases down the middle laner. Beautiful 180 stun secures the safety of Bluefish.
And what I was trying to say is that OMG need to capitalize on this before Paradigm use their experience to their advantage. Funballer is so aggressive over here. Look at him. Just going straight at him all the time. Is this usual Funball, is that, man?
Yeah, it's usual Funball. He plays aggressive. He also is playing Chiron, and he's going solo to early, so he knows he has that kind of sustain from his passive and from the lifesteal on his in-hands.
Is the matchup normal? Is this a normal matchup we see from Chiron versus Freya?
Yeah, Freya's going to lose the early game to almost anybody until she gets her Fatales, Pen Boots online. Then she can start looking to trade.
So we usually see a lane ward in the middle lane. Luo dropped a ward in his lane. What do you think about that one, you're not Brandon, you're Zach.
They're about the same skill level, right?
It's good. It's good. They want to keep an eye on where that Freya is. They want to keep tabs on her. If she kind of gets out of position or she rotates by herself, they want to look to pick her off.
So we're sat around 9.5 minutes now. This has been a lot closer than most people at home probably expected. I mean, everyone was siding with Paradigm for now, but China, they've come out to play today. They did lose the goal fury, but you can see the goal difference. Very, very close.
This is all tied up. Even the kills. 3-on-3. 20 seconds till Fire Giant pokes his head out. Although with the way this one's going as far as the tempo, I don't think we're going to see that Fire Giant be touched for a long time.
I mean, I did get a chance to speak to Trixtank earlier on yesterday, and he was saying they scrimmed China once and got the Fire Giant at like 11 minutes in. So they were very confident coming into this one. I'm pretty sure this time around, OMG, they know what's going on.
Especially with the Hog. You know, you mentioned this 11-minute Fire Giant. I'm looking at this Hog. All right, maybe it's a little more realistic than I thought.
Yeah, in order to make the Hog worth it, you really need to be aggressing on enemy buffs and looking to take big
Trix
objectives
a little bit
early.
too aggressive, though. He's going to look for aggression coming out from the Bacchus there. Luckily enough, though, I think if he intoxicated, he could have potentially found a kill there.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him cancel in the burp and look for the ult for the kill.
Straight away. Oh, but look at this mid lane. Lobster overextended. Doesn't see that he's got Bacchus behind him, but right-hand side aggression under the tower. Bellona going to get dived by Qvo and Xaliea.
Here comes help for the Chinese side over on the right-hand side. Xaliea very low. Bluefish takes care of the mid laner off screen, and BlueWhale chasing down Xaliea. Should just be a couple of hits, but hello,
he's everywhere.
Qvofred traps the whale. No more chase, says the jungler.
This fight's everywhere. You saw the mid go against mid. Trix comes in to support, but meanwhile, Funballer gets the solo kill on low, which we didn't see over in the Hunter lane.
Great play by Xaliea there. He used his leap once,
Trix.
which could actually be grabbed by Awilix, and he said, oh crap, I used it once, I don't want to use it again, because he got lucky that first time.
This is backwards and forwards, this one. The amount of kills that just happened in like 3 seconds, we could see like one kill. It was just not possible.
I mean, that's the beauty of this sort of team game is we had 3 separate engagements, a one-on-one on the left, one-on-one on the right, fight in the middle lane. Let's take a closer look at how that Freya versus Chiron went.
But it means that you said this would be the situation here. Freya loses early until she gets a Pen Boots online and Fatale. She was working on the Pen Boots just here, but didn't have them completed just yet. And Funballer continues to zone, and it looks like Low just lost his patience and walks up here.
Yeah, it's very easy to get frustrated as a hunter if the other hunter's in your face all the time.
Yep. Just over and over again. We can see the aggression onto Funballer. Funballer is like playing this very safe at the moment. This is a long engagement between the two, and he's still being kept off the experience the whole time.
Well, yeah, that's really the beauty of how these hunter fights go, is that it's all about the little bit of poke that you get. And this small opportunity, all of a sudden, Funball goes right into it, gets the free damage from the second ability, and then good old-fashioned boxing fight.
Well, I think he's going to go for the ult. I guess that's what's going to happen here. He's just waiting for it. No, he's just going to wait for his cooldowns one more time. Freya hanging around, doesn't have pulse to clear the wave here, and you can see that's why the pressure's on under the tower.
One more wave.
He's continuing to farm. He's trying to get the wave. You do this all the time.
All the time.
Is you I'm fine, I'm safe.
There it is, the egregious back. He's gonna pay for that one.
Oh, with the new Warrel as well. She takes this guy defensively, and now she's going to look for it. Bit of a long one, this between the two, but there's the snipes coming out. Finally, we will see the kill on to the Hunter eventually.
There it is.
Hey.
The turnaround kill. And then Funball goes right for the tower.
Good mechanic. Good mechanics by the Chiron there. He waited for his 2 to hit, which actually slows the target and guarantees pretty much the 1 damage.
Paradigm off of that is going to take a look towards the gold. Furious 3-on-1, and again, taking a look at that Hog. It's at rank 3.
Yep,
so
Hog
this
3
is
now.
a very, very secure gold for your Paradigm. Want it? Do they want to fight here? Looks like they do.
Yes, they do.
Trixtank up on the horse. He's going to go for the stun. Doesn't get it on Bluefish. Changes the target to the left-hand side.
And Bacchus being engaged on by Qvo. Qvo's going up to continue zoning him out of the fight as well. Changes his mind and goes for the
Beautiful pull!
Pulled in by the Awilix under the tower. They still find the kill though with Trixtank. Lawbster with a fire shot secures another teleport coming in now once again from Bellona, but we don't see anything else going on.
Absolutely fantastic play. It didn't go the way of OMG. Right away, BlueWhale is playing out of his mind. We're seeing the aggressive plays, we're seeing the defensive plays, and BlueBlack trying to keep on keeping on. Funball takes one, Xaliea takes one. The mid lane is violent right now.
Yeah, big problem in these team fights for OMG is they keep splitting up and they keep getting picked off one by one. They really need to stick together, protect the ISIS, who went for damage over protection or over HP with the
Yesterday, China had the issue of execution. Composition was great. Early execution this game, fantastic from OMG, but Paradigm is showing experience here. They're showing they've played in bad situations before and know how to deal with them. Gold Fury to Paradigm. They take a gold lead and the experience in a nice fashion.
Yeah, it's a big one. Big jump right there after those last couple exchanges. Funball really helping the team confirm their 4,600 gold lead. Not even to mention 7,000 by way of experience.
I was expecting a really quick 2-0 here for EU. I want China to win just because it's China. It'd be so good to see them in the semi-finals here. I'm EU and I'm saying that. But I think we may even see a best of 3, a full best of 3 here between these two, because I don't think we're going to see OMG fall over.
Definitely, and this game's not over yet. What I want to see OMG do is try to protect this Freya, get this Freya to the late game, and she could be their saving grace.
She's nearly full build now, right? Oh, I mean, core build is what I want to say.
Build,
When she's got that build on light side, okay.
The Mono Grip is a huge power spike for Freya.
Should she be investing more into actives here, though?
I think because of how behind she is, she really needs that damage, and then after she gets that power spike, that mid-game power spike into the Mono Grip, then she can afford
Well,
to get active.
that's the classic Zatman school of thought.
Damage first.
I've always heard this. Actives just put you behind.
That's
That's the Zatman school of thought. So.
Well, damage is the best source of defense, right?
That's right. If
Bacchus
they're dead,
going
they
in,
can't
though,
hurt you.
trying to contest these harpies, going to get aggressed on. Good belly flop,
Love
just after
that
the whistle
decision.
ended. And a good ult from BlueWhale. Intoxicate comes out too for Bacchus, but Isis comes around the corner to the valley, but Trix is going in. It looks like they want to fight this.
Trix all by himself, goes for the stun. BlueWhale heals up from half to above, thanks to his ultimate. Lawbster gets the kill from the sky. Bluefish in a little bit of trouble. Up in the air is the Freya. Funball takes him out, but not before Trixtank takes a spill. It's 1-on-3. Lawbster is taking the win. BlueBlack is gonna go down. Bleeding red this time around.
Chiron hook in the back, trying to get aggression, but nice play from BlueWhale to secure the kill. Deicide, however, to Paradigm. What a crazy fight.
Paradigm doubling the kills of OMG right now. They got off to a good start. They got off to a poor start. Then they started continuing things right now. All of a sudden, 6K in the lead, barking down mid
Big
lane.
thing about that fight there, we saw OMG engage, and Paradigm knew to go back in on his zap, and it worked out well for them.
Yeah, one of the problems you saw there with Awilix is you can't pick who your ultimate hits.
That's true.
They didn't want the Guan, they wanted the Thor, but the Guan was in front, so he took priority for that ult.
I do love the Bacchus plays, though. The Bacchus plays from Tantos here have been fantastic. He saved his belly flop until the Tower Assault ended, and then flopped down to make sure he got the double onto both of them. They don't get a tier 2 Paradigm here, though. They just get the tier 1 and half the tower down on the tier 2. Gonna retreat to do the red.
Little cleanup here coming from the guys out of Paradigm. Everybody's sort of looking for the next opportunity. A lot of vision here coming out from OMG. It's interesting. Those two wards overlap each other, but because they're right in the spots they are, you'll be able to tell you have the most information as far as if they're going further into the jungle or into the lane itself.
Talk about information, though. Paradigm had the opportunity yesterday to sit and watch all the teams play. They saw how much China warded up and how heavily they did. And look at their inventory. It was full as Sentry was just then. They know the ward battle is going to be key to winning this game.
The majority of these wards coming out of Paradigm have been the sentries, honestly, from very early on in the game. I mean, we're 17 in. I saw the first sentry around 4 minutes, coming out from the guys on Paradigm. Right-hand side, BlueBlack in a little bit of trouble, but Paradigm not willing to commit because there's 17 Chinese players coming from around the corner.
The rotation's coming around, so they just back out.
Yeah, this is a little bit of dangerous times for Paradigm because there's nothing to do on the map, and they're kind of getting a little antsy, a little anxious here. They may start trying to force things, which OMG can capitalize.
That's kind of what Trix likes to do as well. He's like, can we fight this? Can we fight this? Can we fight? He's always looking for a fight, but there's nothing to get off the back of it really at this stage.
Yeah, this is one of those situations that I always talk about where you want to play your lead, right? You need to push your advantage when you have a lead, but you can't let your lead play you. Paradigm Paradigm can't get a little too aggressive. Trixtank all by himself might be in the wrong spot right now,
I think
so they have to be a little careful.
He seems to be just hanging around here trying to keep vision of them so on the right-hand side they can look to invade this blue buff there, but the whole China team is rotating.
Yeah, right now there's nothing up to do for Paradigm, so what they're really trying to do is have vision control and look for picks.
Well, while they're looking for picks, look what's happening with Funballer there over on the left-hand side. He's free. That's a dream for you, right?
That is the dream. But
actually, no, that's you in every single game. You just don't leave lane, right?
2, 3 people coming to the left-hand side, so Funball has to be careful. Trixtank is here, but is it enough? Looks like it is. Funball is going to be safe.
Tallow Assault is very, very good. It prevents knockups, so against a Bacchus, you just save it until he goes in the air. Instant Tallow Assault. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, but at this level, definitely.
Definitely, yeah. I really want to see this Freya look to do what Chiron's been doing. Split pushing, getting that free farm, and trying to get to late game.
Bit of a fight between the two. It looks like that did go over to Lu. The Chinese player defended his purple buff. Continue to put poke pressure on because they know in the jungle there's a group still there on that red buff.
Still grouped up is China in the middle lane. We'll see Ice is back right now, and a little more attention being paid to the left-hand side. Funball's pushed this lane up for the entirety of the match so far, so China has to send that wave a little bit backwards.
Yeah, and you can see all of Paradigm back here. They know the Gold Fury is coming up, and they all want to get that extra item in there to help them secure the gold.
I feel Paradigm needs to start stepping on the gas a little bit, though, because OMG, they've realized they started to lose the fights, and now they're like, don't worry, we still have Freya. We've got a late game Awilix and the Bellona too. Let's just sit back at our tier 2 towers. There's nothing to contest just yet. Well, the Gold Fury's just come up, I should say. But now we're just going to see them have to push forward again to defend this and not give it up for free. Otherwise, OMG could be in a bit of a sticky situation.
Well, OMG is well aware that Paradigm are going for this. They have the timers. They had the vision. Paradigm took down the ward, and Qvofred playing goalie. He's going to drop the wall, and there's no chance to survive. Paradigm takes the gold.
And this shows a little bit of the experience difference here. Paradigm backed a lot earlier than OMG did, and they were ready right when the Gold Fury spawned.
Funball is still going aggressive. They did use the beads because he was worried about the rotation coming out from Lu as well for the follow-up, but that golden experience lead, man, is starting to mount up.
Zatman, I saw how excited you got. If you're China right now, how much are you licking your chops at that no beads Chiron?
Yeah, I think they just got to go all in on that Chiron here. Hopefully they get a pick.
Yeah, it's a big window of opportunity right here. Paradigm, no fear, playing in the enemy jungle, just pushing and pushing. And again, if you're a fan of this team, you know that this is sort of Trixtank's calling card.
Be on the front line.
Behind a tier 2.
Be on the front line, be a nuisance the whole time, and allow the rest of the team just to do what they want to do and get themselves in position to take the towers down. Left-hand side being pushed, mid being pushed. China have to make a decision to defend at least one of them.
I like this siege a lot. A lot of times you'll see the 4-1. This is a 3-2 push, which is interesting because it forces OMG to really spread their team out.
Yeah, sometimes as a 5v5, even if you're ahead, it's really hard to push down one tower. So what Paradigm is doing is splitting OMG's forces. They know their dual lane is stronger than OMG's dual lane, so they could win that 2v2 and hopefully get that tier 2 tower.
Yeah, we'll take a look as Paradigm pushing down this mid lane. There's 4 players here. Let's take a listen into Paradigm as they siege down this mid lane tower.
Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. Let's disengage.
I'm healing up. Stun in the back. Help.
No, I'm dead. I'm dead. Too much.
Okay, winner. With the winner.
I use a lot. Get out.
Bellona. Fred, help. Isis. Isis, Fred. Isis. Get him.
Nice.
Get him all. Phoenix.
Get the Phoenix. Bacchus.
No.
Okay, nice.
Left. Phoenix.
You guys can get both Phoenixes, I think. Or at least get the Phoenix in tower.
Oh, yeah, mid.
Phoenix tower at the very least.
You get tower.
Get a ball! Get a ball! That's all I heard. And it just exactly worked out well. The fight was not clean though, after.
The fight wasn't clean, but the comms were, and that's what's so exciting. It looked like everybody on Paradigm was dying. It almost looked like that fight was in China's favor, but you had Paradigm stay safe. There was call-outs. Qvo, go on the Isis, and the most important thing, it's always Lawbster. All right, excellent, Phoenix.
Yeah, he's always the calm and collected one. You have the hype one and Trixtank calling the targets, and then you have Lawbster, the one calm collected, knows what to do after they win the fight.
How important is that balance? Because like you said, Trixtank's just sort of yelling and everybody's telling Qvo, and then you've got the common collect. How important is that balance on a team?
It's extremely important because sometimes you only have a couple seconds of opportunity to maybe take that gold free before the enemy respawns, and every second counts. So if you don't have that guy that says, okay, we won the fight enough where we can get the gold free right away, you might lose out on that
And then
opportunity.
you heard Xaliea say you can get probably 2 Phoenixes here as well. He was very calm. Xaliea doesn't speak that much, but then he was very calm about things, just like Lawbster.
You know what I really liked? Funballer is usually one of the more vocal
And he was
players
really
on
quiet.
this team. I didn't hear anything,
That's crazy.
but I saw him mow down the opposition.
When you see his scoreline there of 6-0-9, he's not hold that thought. Santorski's in trouble here. Good aggression onto him. That's a tank. He's going to have to belly flop away. Meanwhile, Firejet has been started up. On the backside there, Xaliea going to be able to find Bacchus. The fat man should fall down here. He's made him drunk. But the guy with a chest for a face just killed him.
Santorski tried to get out. Forced to stick around by the solo laner on the side of Paradigm. Lawbster picks up the jungler. Fire Giant has been released. It's all about the kills right now for Paradigm.
Once again, going on to Lewis. Xaliea putting the pressure on. Raw comes out, zoning him away. Bar on the back, though, is Bellona. And Xaliea needs some support. And gets
Qvofred out of nowhere gets to stun, max range, forces Freya out of the fight. Now it's a 2v1. The rest of Paradigm looking at Fire Giant. This one's gonna fall. Paradigm sitting pretty. 23 minutes in, 21-9, and the gold is fantastically in their lead, 12.5K.
Great play by Paradigm. They know they didn't need all 5 members to zone out OMG because they were so far ahead. So they had 3 people, especially the Xing who's completely tanky. You can't kill him. Zone out the whole team. Chiron and Guan, they did the Fire Giant for free.
And China as well, I like what they did. Even though they're behind in this game there, they saw the buff hit the boys and backed off immediately. They stopped the fight because they knew they weren't going to win. Guan Yu is making an impact, though. You said this yesterday. I think he's going to be the dark horse of the tournament because he's going to have these heals the whole time.
Yeah,
Guan
Yu with max CDR, his heal, he can heal as much as a Raw, he can heal as much as a Hell. It's incredible.
And he's got breastplate, so it's actually factor into that.
Again, it's just so sneaky, right? You see one Guan healing, oh, okay, no big deal, it's on cooldown. And then he dashes, and all of a sudden it's off of cooldown again, and then he does that 7 times in a fight, and you sit there, why is everybody full HP? Because Guan has quietly been doing 8,000 damage worth of healing.
Exactly. Guan has that kind of sneaky heal where you see Guan Yu, you don't think to yourself, oh, I need a weakening curse or I need a pestilence or anything like that because it's small heals, but it's very often, and it really adds up in team fights.
It's the consistency.
When you look at the picks from OMG, though, do you think they should have gone for the Ra at all? They looked at it at one point. The sustain would have helped them, Zap. Oh, 1 second.
Qvo's up. Qvo's up. Paradigm's down. Looking for help on the middle lane. Funball picks up the kill on top of the tank. Bluefish is in trouble.
Good heal, though, onto him, but the damage from Lawbster was huge. Funballer gets a double kill. He's looking for the 3rd one off Bellona. Will he get it? He won't get the triple kill. The boys of China are running for their lives now. They don't want that guy after him.
This could be game, Hindu man. OMG feel it as well. They slam their F6. Luo slams his 4, but it's not going to be enough. The Titan's under attack. Ladies and gentlemen, Paradigm are going to take game number 1. The Titan has fallen. Paradigm up 1-0.
They take game 1, but they won't be that confident after that one. China put up a fight there that I think a lot of people at home would not have expected.
Yeah, listen, a lot of those mid-game team fights, China could have won if they weren't so far behind. They actually outplayed Paradigm in a lot of those mid-game team fights. I think with a couple small adjustments, China can definitely start. And
that's been the story of the whole weekend with China is like, these guys are good.
But see, here's what's exciting to me. We keep seeing these good starts coming out from China, and each game these starts are lasting longer and longer. You make an adjustment here, especially with the beauty of a 3-game set. You make that early start last longer and longer. I think we might see a Chinese win here.
I hope we get to see China in game 2 pull something out, put the pressure onto Paradigm again. Paradigm, they may be a little bit confident, but they should want to correct those early mistakes.
Maybe. Zatman, last thoughts before we head over to the analysts.
Last thoughts. China, just small adjustments, a little bit more, stay together in the team fights, protect their carries, and they can come out on top.
We're excited. Fantastic match. Hey, Golden Boy, how you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic. I tell you, Paradigm was styling and profiling in that game like the Nature Boy. Incredible stuff there. It's number 1 for today. I think the story of that was an incredible start for OMG, right? And you see this happen a lot in sports and esports, where you have an incredible start. I don't know what it is, but it's just like everything just works, right? And then midway through, it all falls apart. That's kind of what happened.
And I feel like OMG were definitely feeling themselves. They definitely had the energy of the crowd after the first couple engagements. And they had their early game team comp, but basically they lost out to the experience of Paradigm. And you know, the team comp worked early, they just couldn't keep it rolling.
So they had a good opening strategy between the solo laner and the jungler when they had the Bellona go the Bluestone Pendant, the red pot. They invaded at level 2. They zoned them out from speed buff and the blue buff. They invaded the blue buff at level 2, and because of that, Nuwa got naturally far behind. The Thor couldn't help her out, and that was why they got an easy first blood on the Nuwa.
Yeah, it's really impressive that they managed to kill the mid laner from Paradigm, Lawbster, 3 times. He's known for to be a safe mid laner, and especially with Nuwa, which is a pretty safe god, and he got picked off 3 times by OMG B.
And you know, shout outs to the jungler too, BlueWhale. I mean, on that Awilix, multiple times he just like kept hitting the Suku charge behind him, like off to the side too. He was hitting those all the time and really allowed his team to find kills.
This play right here, triple kill in the game. I mean, you know, again, it just started to snowball in their favor, but you just basically see this Chiron just absolutely decimating everyone. He had so many great cannonball volleys just across the edge. It was awesome to watch. Honestly, you know, another thing that I noticed in this matchup too was how prominent Xing was. Xing like a force for anyone who picks up that god. Do you expect OMG to focus and potentially ban it out for game 2?
Or look to get it themselves, but I don't think
get it themselves.
I don't think Paradigm will allow them to get it. They really don't like this god's in the hands of anyone else. They banned it away almost every single game of Super Regionals except they lost, which they lost to Xing. So I expect Xing to be picked up for Paradigm or banned away, but OMG now have choice of their side. Paradigm, they were able to choose that they wanted first pick. Game 2, now that OMG lost, they could switch it up and try and take that first pick. So there's that interesting dynamic to see what OMG are going to focus on.
And let's take a look at the post-game results right here. Anything, QE, that you see in particular that stands out?
Chiron did a lot of work.
You're so happy.
I'm so happy.
Grinning from
he did 9-0-10, dude. It was just so good.
Yeah.
He dominated the lane against Freya. He didn't let Freya get to the late game.
And we actually did get word. So yesterday, and we'll see the stats as well in a little bit, but yesterday there were a couple instances where tower damage was registered, but in the graph it was not enough to be a percentage. This matchup, in fact, no tower damage from OMG to Paradigm. So that is something, you know, again, it just showed like the presence Paradigm had, you know, and how they just dominated from that midpoint of the game onward. But I want to talk about the beginning. What could have OMG done better? And the casters actually broke it down a little bit, but I want to hear from you guys. Juan, totally kick it off to you. What could have they done better?
They didn't group up to push any towers or gold fear. The first gold fear was actually started by Paradigm. The Isis almost stole it with the circular protection ulti, but Paradigm was able to secure it, and they lost 2 members for it, but it was worth because it was an early gold fairy. OMG B didn't really get any towers afterwards. They just needed to group up and put pressure. They had the experience and the gold lead early on, but they just never took advantage of it.
Kiwi, what about for you?
I think they should have tried to help Freya a little bit because she got shut down pretty hard by Chiron, and Awilix didn't really try to help Chiron.
Yeah, we saw a lot of focus on the Lawbster we talked about, but Lawbster recovered very well. Meanwhile, Funball, you know, I think it was the 10-minute mark about where there was 3 engagements that broke out across the map. We saw Qvofred and Xaliea diving in the soul lane. In the mid lane, we saw the Bacchus and the Blues brothers combo and kill, Lawbster.
I made that one up.
You made it, not Hindu. And then in the dual lane, we actually saw Funballer solo out Luo, and that just was such a problem because that is such a lopsided matchup in the lane directly. Chiron dominates lane. Freya, as that man pointed out, gets destroyed in lane until he gets a couple items online, and there wasn't any pressure put onto the dual lane. And I think this game really comes down to Paradigm allowed Funball to get ahead and dominate once the Hunter started rotating.
Yeah, and also the new ulti didn't help the Freya at all. Trying to survive against Chiron is not easy, and then when you have to worry about the new ulti, that just makes things way more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah, it was, again, story of game 1 was an uphill battle, but it is certainly not impossible, which is, you know, something that I think a lot of people kind of tossed the favor toward Paradigm very early. Didn't expect OMG to come out so strong. Getting that first blood must have been a huge confidence booster for them. I'm hoping that they're thinking about, you know, how things started to fall apart in that mid game, and then, you know, how can they build upon it from there. Going into